Shabbat Shalom, Betham. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos to each and every one of you. We're delighted to welcome so many into the sanctuary in person this evening. What a machaya to see all of you in your beautiful punims. On your behalf, we also want to welcome our fellow Bethamniks who are at home this evening. Shall we let's wave to each and every one of them? Hi, Betham, and thank you for being with us on live stream. We deeply appreciate your virtual attendance this evening and thrilled to welcome each and every one of you. We want to welcome our volunteer choir as well. So happy to have you with us. And before we begin, Cantor Zark has given me permission to mention to all of you that she is well on the road to recovery from COVID. She's making good progress. She's feeling much better and hopefully will be back in the building this Sunday morning. So Cantor, if you are with us, we send our love and our good wishes to you for a continuing refuah shlema, and I am so grateful that the choir is here tonight. Because Mark, God bless you. Thank you. We are going to begin on page 6. We're going to read these words responsively on page 6. May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love and all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, and hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. From sanctuary to Hine Matov Umanayim. I was just about to say to it, but I couldn't have done it as good as you. Not as good. So, rise to the occasion, if you will. You'll enjoy it. It'll be so much more fun. We're all in this together, folk. Hine Matov Umanayim.
Let's go for Lord Prepare. Ready? We're off.
Sanctuary,
Not bad, congregants, not too bad at all. Choir will look forward to your singing with them this evening. Beautiful, thank you so much. Please, if you would take a moment to greet one another, carefully of course, with a Shabbat Shalom and with a good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. Hadlakat Neirot Shabbat, for the kindling of our Shabbat candles. It is our very great pleasure at this time to call upon our dear friend Rini and Frank Glassman to please step forward. And you're more than welcome to stand at this time if you wish.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generation of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
We'll look forward to a Kiddush and Motzi, a very special Motzi, by the way, out in the main lobby at the conclusion of our service. Without further ado, we invite you to join with Mark and the choir in our beloved Erev Shabbat anthem, pages 20 and 21, L'chadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat, nekabla. וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם תפארת ולתהילה. לך לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקראת Shabbat לכו במאוחר, כי הם מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקרא בלה. אדוני לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקרא בלה. התעורר בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואו נעלה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקהבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקהבלה. 24, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachi Malachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויאמר דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בהגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה. בריחו ללמד כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעולמה, ואמרו ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom u'mevi laila, umavdil bein yom u'vein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu, le'olam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv, aravim. Ahavat olam, beit Yisrael emcha ahavta, Torah mitzvot chimu mishpatim, otanu limadata. As we read together, wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works, and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Hevamo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantaham levanecha v'dibarta baham b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu latotafot bein einecha u'ktavtaham al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. As we read together, the top of page 39, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. ונאמר כי פרדנה את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך. Together. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, va'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Beautiful. Shabbat and oneg, always, despite all else, and oneg, a delight. Betham, it's our regular liturgical mantra. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. For those who are able, we rise for the tefillah. start silently now all the way through page 62, at which time please feel free to be seated. Those who need to be now, please, you're more than welcome. Birkat Refuah, the Prayer for Healing, page 253. Misha Berach Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Ve'imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, V'Leah. Hu yivarech et ha'cholim ha'im. HaKodesh Baruch Hu yimalei rachamim alehem. Lachlimam rapotam lahachzikam. V'yishlach mehira refuah. Refuah shlema min hashamayim. Ruafat ha'nefesh uruafat ha'guf. B'toch sha'ar cholei Yisrael. Hashet ba'aglau fisman kariv. V'nomar. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal, as we call to mind this Shabbat, Barry Abrams, Deborah Allison, Cynthia Baylor, Carol Blake, Annette Braverman, Jeff Chernow, Sandy Chernow, Sarah Cohen, Stephen M. Cohen, Andy Dorfman, Marcy Fish, Evan Freibowitz and Lani Freibowitz, Audrey Gelb, Bobby Glaberson, Stuart Geddes, Sally Grossman, Rita Jaffe, David Lieberman, Spencer Leibowitz, Stephen Litvak, Keith Locke, Amanda McCall, Vagia Partielli, Harvey Ostroff, Sherry Panicelli, Penina Petesh, Steve Porter, Kelly Quagliotti, Harav Rachel Batshmuel Ofruma, Rebetzer David Rachmiel Ben Sarah Valevi, Selma Romoff, Ruth Schindelman, Samuel Schloss, Haley Shapiro, David Stein, Beverly Tisdale, Yael Bat Leah Yisrael, Marty Trishon, Cass Walsh, and Judy Weiss. If there are any other names that you'd like to publicly mention at this time, please feel free to do so if you would, Steve. Thank you. Larry? Linda? Thank you. Marilyn? Thank you. Sandy? Thank you. Joanne? Rini? Thank you. Ephraim? Thank you. Bev? Thank you very much. Thank you. Bruce? Thank you. Richard? Yeah. Irv? Sorry, Irv? Thank you. Shai? Thank you. Elsa?
Elena Sar.
Cantor, did you hear? Thank you. Thank you. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and for their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send each a refuah shlema, a complete renewal of guf, of body, and of neshama, and of soul. And together let us say, Amen. Good Shabbos, Betham, Shabbat Shalom to each and every one. Tomorrow morning, at our online TSG Torah study group, we are going to ask ourselves the tantalizing question of why it was Jacob, of all biblical personalities, who was considered the, if you like, the father of the Jewish people. Yes, I know we refer to Avraham Avinu, literally Abraham our father. But Jacob was the ultimate hero of our faith. Not his grandfather Abraham, nor his father Isaac, not his grandson Joseph, or Moses, or his successor Joshua, or even King David or King Solomon. But we refer to ourselves, as you know, as Morasha Kilat Yaakov, a heritage of the congregation of Jacob. We follow in Jacob's footsteps. We claim Jacob's lineage as our own. It is Jacob's message that ultimately defines Jewish existence. The late Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks put it this way: we are the restless people. Rare and brief have been our interludes of peace. But in the dark of night, we have found ourselves lifted by a force of faith we did not know we had, surrounded by angels we did not know were there. Now, of course, while this is admittedly a reference to the unique character of the Jewish historical experience, it is also an acknowledgement of the biblical Jacob, who, as you'll remember, alone at night, dreamed of ladders and of angels and wrestling, and names and identities. So Jacob will recall, much like his son Joseph, mind you, Jacob was a dreamer. His turbulent life was marked by pivotal, decisive events that forever changed him, and as a result, the destiny of those he led. Troubled and tormented by key familial events in his life, Jacob knew full well that a radical change in his personality, facilitated by his willingness to face his own internal demons, a change from within, would elevate him to unexpected heights of greatness and of prominence. Now, I know it's a giant leap of faith, but believe it or not, I thought of our third biblical patriarch when I learned last Thursday that F.W. de Klerk, the last white president of apartheid South Africa, had died at the age of 85 after a long battle with cancer. He lived in the plush, heavily populated Jewish neighborhood of Frene, an elegant enclave in the seaside suburb of Sea Point, Cape Town, where I attended high school, and where many years later, from 1986 to 1989, Randy and I lived, while I was an assistant rabbi at Temple Israel, the Cape Town Progressive Jewish congregation. De Klerk's funeral, which will not be a state funeral per se, but rather strictly private, takes place this Sunday. And his passing truly marks the end of a political era that was strictly defined and harshly enforced by a willing cadre of white supremacist Afrikaner politicians who belonged to the disgraced Nasionale Partij, the National Party. But he ultimately proved himself to be a capable, a formidable, and a cunning lone wolf among a pack of ferocious, bigoted, racial fanatics. De Klerk's political legacy was very much a mixed one. On the one hand, he was uniformly blamed for continuing and escalating violence against black South Africans and anti-apartheid activists, Jews among them to be sure. But then on the other hand, he was routinely denounced by right-wing Afrikaners for betraying their own political interests. Damned if you will and damned if you won't. But history has already shown that it was de Klerk, more than any other politician, who single-handedly realized that the despotic rule of a white-controlled government over an oppressed black majority populace was simply untenable. And so, as I'm sure many of you will remember, in an electrifying announcement to Parliament on February the 2nd, 1990, less than 6 months after Randy and 7-month-old Haley and I left the country for these blessed shores, de Klerk announced that Nelson Mandela was to be unconditionally released 9 days later after 27 years of confinement. The announcement sent shockwaves throughout South Africa, including a boisterous walkout by several members of the white-ruling National Party. And just 4 years later, Mandela would be elected the country's first ever black president, and in the interim, both de Klerk and Mandela were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize on December the 10th, 1993. Now, to be sure, there was no feeling of kumbaya between the once fierce arch-enemies. They remained, to all intents and purposes, bitter rivals and political opponents who strongly disagreed with one another, but who nevertheless mutually agreed to work together, because, as de Klerk himself suggested, there is no other road to peace and prosperity for the people of our country. On the other hand, as recently as last year, he stated that he didn't believe that apartheid was a crime against humanity. And that might be one of the reasons why de Klerk's death has resulted in a flurry of conflicting and contradictory opinions, both within South Africa and beyond. The economic freedom fighters, a radical, militant, left-wing economic emancipation movement founded in 2013, stated that because de Klerk denied that the legislated separate development, exploitation, torture, and murder of black people was a crime against humanity, because he denied that, he died with no honor and with the dark cloud of having maimed and traumatized families across the nation. On the other hand, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair said that de Klerk demonstrated great courage to end apartheid, and through his partnership with the iconic figure of Nelson Mandela, played a pivotal role in bringing democracy to South Africa. The path was never smooth, but he said that his legacy is immense. And in an opinion piece that was printed just this past Monday, South Africa's chief rabbi, Warren Goldstein, wrote that Mandela and de Klerk taught us that if both sides truly desire peace, it can be achieved through mutual respect and good faith negotiations, that they guided their followers to make the painful compromises so desperately needed to forge the new South Africa, a diverse nation with a shared vision founded on equality, dignity, and freedom for all. And Rabbi Goldstein reminded his readers to reflect on the power of mutual respect and a commitment to political and peaceful negotiations to resolve any conflict, no matter how bitter, and to reaffirm the equal dignity of all human beings. Now, a key point in tomorrow morning's dramatic, long-awaited meeting between the long-lost twins is when they necessarily have to encounter each other, punim face to face. Fear, panic, and dread reflect the moment when, after an absence of some 20 years, the brothers confront each other, all too aware of potentially disastrous consequences for either or both sides. And yet, in Genesis chapter 33, verse 4, we read that when Esau, he was the one to run towards Jacob. He met Jacob. He embraced him, he fell upon his neck, he kissed him, and they wept. It's one of the most melodramatic of all verses in Torah. And above the Hebrew word, vayishakehu, literally, and he, Esau, kissed him, you'll find something extremely rare, a dot above every letter in the word. And now this oddity is meant to make us pause and to reflect on the true intentions of the act. In other words, the commentators doubt whether Esau's embracing Jacob and kissing him was genuine or not. Certainly, Esau's conciliatory gesture towards his twin brother was unexpected, given the fact that he was accompanied by no less than 400 men after all. And the rabbis believe that Jacob's prayer prior to that fateful encounter had helped turn Esau's hate to one of love. It appears as though an atmosphere of pardon and of forgiveness grips the two brothers as they seek their long-awaited reconciliation. Now, friends, I'm not here to suggest that the once vengeful relationship between Jacob and Esau be connected in any way, shape, or form to the once vindictive relationship between Mandela and de Klerk. That admittedly would be a vast stretch of the rabbinic imagination. But I do believe that the incredibly tense and frightening, the frightful biblical narrative that we encounter tomorrow morning could be seen It could be seen, I believe, as a paradigm for the transformative negotiations that brought two political archenemies to the bargaining table. Because that in and of itself is worthy of our adulation and serves as a template, I believe, for other warring factions whose existence continues to be mired in endless animosity and belligerence. I mean, perhaps Israelis and Palestinians might one fine, glorious day exhibit the kind of unthinkable statesmanship that once prevailed between de Klerk's once despised National Party and Mandela's once banned African National Congress. Perhaps this country's increasingly polarized political parties, not to mention the alarming number of sectarian organizations espousing racial animus and ethnic intimidation, might yet find common cause, espousing a doctrine of shared humanitarian values and ideals. 15 years ago, on the occasion of de Klerk's 70th birthday, Mandela said the following, and I quote, "If we two old or aging men have any lessons for our country and for the world, it is that solutions to conflicts can only be found if adversaries are fundamentally prepared to accept the integrity of one another." So at a pivotal moment in the meeting between the twin brothers, it's Esau who turns around to Jacob and says, "Nisa v'nilecha," let us start on our journey. So whatever fundamental disagreements we harbor with those considered our adversaries, may we find the courage, the resolve, the determination to forge a new path, a new journey, freighted with the blessings of angels. Ken Yeh Ratzon.
We have a short setting of Psalm 150 for you. They are hankering and crying in their souls to sing with us. Here is your part. Let's try it together. Yeah. Beautiful. Keep going. Now we're going to spin this whole thing out over top of that. Don't be distracted. Just kind of enjoy it. Well, would you start us, please?
Kol haneshama tahalel ya. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Page 282, Aleinu, second Hebrew paragraph. For the opening of the ark at this time, Susan and Mark, if I can call upon you to step forward. Robin and Joanne, if you would please do likewise as well. We'd be delighted to have you with us. Page 282, second Hebrew paragraph. Please be seated. Page 289. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. And yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in these struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life and soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. Page 295. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Rabbi Mimi Poland Ferraro, Director of Education of the Rabbi Harold B. and Elise Waintrop Religious School, 1995 through 2015. And Anita Levine, both of whom passed during Shloshim this past month. Tonight, we also call to mind Harry Abrams, Merle Anderson, Thomas Angelini Jr., Morris A. Auerbach, Kalman Balsham, Lucy Leah Battleman, Sonia Becker, Charlotte Bing, Charles Birnbaum, Morris Broder, Edith Burstein, Paul Mayer Ellis, Molly Feinstein, Jacob Friedman, Edie Glasman, Miriam Glazer, Sidney Goldstein, Sarah Leah Grosky, Paul J. Gross, Arthur H. Havsey, Bessie Hoffman, Irvin Jarrett, J. Josephs, Mary Katzoff, Max Kirschenbaum, Adrian Andy Klein, Honey Kramer, Leonard Landau, Gilbert Lipschitz, Anna Madnikoff, Jacob Marburger, Samuel Marder, Esther Oxenberg, William Rifkin, Dorothy Rosenberg, David Samuel, Anne Siegel, Harry Schatz, Joyce Schatz, Katie Seufer, Celia Steinberg, Sarah Stillman, David Surrey, Marsha Tabby, Joshua Uram, Natalie Sharon Wachowski, Herman Weinberg, Samuel Weiss, Edward A. Wolfson, and Frida Yasny, whose yahrzeit occurred during the course of this past week, and all those other dear ones whom we now remember with tender affection. Together, as always, with these 6 million of our martyred brethren who perished in the Shoah, and all those who gave their lives and who continue to give their lives in defense of Midnat Yisrael, the state of Israel, and of these United States. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. Kaddish, page 294. Yit gadal v'yit gadash me rabba, amen. Bioma divrach kirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'adalau fisman karib v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach li'olam u'lalmei u'lamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpo'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei d'kudeshah, brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran olma v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru. Amen. May there be abundant peace from heaven and life for us and all Israel, to which we say, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, and to that let us all say, Amen. Please be seated, and it's my great pleasure now to call upon our President, Josh Posnan, for this evening's announcements. Thank you, Josh.
Hello, Beth Am. Tomorrow morning, Torah study will be at 9 a.m., followed immediately by the peer-led service at 10. They're on Zoom. This week there will be no Pirkei Avot class, or next week. Class will resume on December 5th. The gift shop will be open this Sunday, so be sure to stop by and get your Hanukkah gifts and try to support sisterhood. This Tuesday night, annual community Thanksgiving service is at 7:30 p.m. at Our Lady Help of Christians. Let's all go to the movies. Movie night is December 18th, 5 p.m. $20 per family, includes pizza and popcorn. Ice Age is playing for the kids, and Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights for the adults. BAFTA will be watching the kids at the time, so those movies will run concurrently, so the adults will get some time without their kids around. Braised, sauteed, broiled, baked, and chilled. Send your best recipe in for the Old York Road Temple-Beth multi-generational cookbook commemorating our 75th anniversary. We're accepting recipes now, and we hope to publish the cookbook in the first quarter of next year. There are plans for a tasting event in the spring, so maybe I'll make my maple bourbon cranberry sauce. We'll see. Sisterhood Mahjong continues on Wednesday evenings, and a new beginner class is starting Wednesday, December 8th. Be sure to register in advance for that. Social Action is collecting coats, gloves, hats, and scarves this month. Bins are at the back door, along with the other collections that are currently going on. And in case you missed anything, or I missed anything on my list here, flyers for all the events and programs are available in both the front and back lobbies, as well as in the office. Registrations for most of those events are on ShulCloud. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe weekend, and a great Thanksgiving. Shabbat Shalom.
Cantor, if you're still with us, I think these Beth Amniks have done really well tonight. You should be very proud. Everyone, thank you. Thank you. We are going to conclude, Mark, I believe, with Adon Olam on page 321. And then, Betham, let's not break bread until you're all in the main lobby. Now, for those of you that are able to be with us for Kiddush and for Motzi, I've been given strict instructions. We're not going to break bread until you all see this extraordinary challah that awaits us. Adon Olam, 321. Maestro. Thank you, choir. Thank you, Betham, for being here in such relatively large numbers this evening, which is such a machaya. It's altogether beautiful. And we thank all our fellow Bethamniks and visitors who are with us on live stream as well tonight. I'm leaving this Monday evening for the West Coast for San Diego to be with my family for Thanksgiving. So allow me to take this opportunity of wishing you and all those you love a bountiful and a blessed Thanksgiving. And I hope that you'll join Rabbi T and the cantor and fellow Bethamniks at Our Lady Hope of Christians behind Target, you know where it is, on Marion Road in Abington, as you heard from Josh, this Tuesday at 7:30. It promises really to be a very inspiring service. I hope that you will. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos to you all. And let's see this challah, this magnificent challah that's out in the... Good Shabbos.